Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So, I'm about to go and take someone's portrait on my 8x10 large format camera. And I can't lie, I think it's going to be really difficult. So, this is Elsa, who I found from making videos about swimming in rivers on TikTok. It just popped up on my feed, and it just so happened that they actually lived really close to me. And I just thought it could make for a really interesting photo of someone in some water. So it's probably raining a slightly worrying amount for 8x10 camera use. It's really not ideal. I've never really got this camera too wet, but hopefully it should be okay. So one of the huge problems with using this camera is making sure that your subject stays still for long enough that they're not blurry in the photo. It takes about 30 seconds from the moment where I finished focusing to the exposure being completed. And if they move during this time period, the photo is probably going to end up being blurry. So the whole kind of principle of photographing someone in running water kind of just sounds like a recipe for disaster. It's going to be pretty hard to stay still when you're like fully submerged. And this was something which really dictated where I could take the photo. You know, it had to be in the right kind of depth of the river to be able to still stand up and not be pushed around too much. And this did come to haunt one of the photos. The first one, which is wider, is definitely out of focus. But that's okay, because I took 2 photos and the second one came out good. I actually think this photo has something really nice about it. The way that the water has been rendered with this shallow depth of field, there's just something like super ethereal about it, and I just love the way that it looks. It's by no means the photo which I dreamed of and I had in my head. I really hoped that the camera would be lower to the kind of eye level of the water so that it would kind of have a different compression on the water instead of feeling like it was really looking down. But I do think it's nice. Another thing is that now I'm looking to photograph people outside as well as inside. I feel like I kind of limited myself with this project by making that one of the stipulations, which was good at first, but I think something which is so amazing about this camera is the way that it does render scenes with like the depth of field and things like that it's a shame not to use it in environments. This comes in great tandem with pandemics rising again, so yeah, I'm outside now as well. The world's my oyster. I also think there's something nice about applying context to the subjects. There's equally something as nice in taking a portrait of someone where there's nothing else to distract you, and it is just kind of how someone conveys across a single image with nothing kind of distracting you. But I think there's also equally something as nice as trying to portray even more of their personality or something about them through scenery. Something I've been finding interesting recently is this idea of putting my camera in places that a camera shouldn't really be. And this is like a strange concept, I guess, because basically I've got this large camera, which should be in very formal and slow situations. So when I was interested in taking this photo in the river, I thought it'd be really cool to kind of have the camera look like it's actually in the water, because that's somewhere where it doesn't belong, you know. And I think when you push to these kind of locations, it will result in an image which kind of has an essence of something new in a way. Now, I didn't end up doing this for this occasion because it was very cold. It was 1 degree that day that we did the shoot, and I didn't really fancy it. I thought I'd get down low enough just from having the camera on this bit of concrete that was out there. But it didn't really work like that in reality. And speaking of places cameras don't belong, I guess what I'm doing right here is a great metaphor for this. Because, I mean, look, this is definitely somewhere a camera doesn't belong. But maybe it's kind of cool. I don't know. It's pretty stupid. But, yeah. This week, I maybe got hit by some bad karma. In one of my recent thumbnails, I had photoshopped the image to make it appear as if the lens of my Leica had been smashed. But this week, for the first time in my life, I managed to drop a lens. And not just any lens, the most expensive one that I own. Now it does appear as if the lens still functions, you know, like the autofocus still works, you can actually still take photos with it and not really notice the massive crack on the front of it. But it's not ideal. Now the good thing is that it's just the filter that is broken, but the bad thing is I can't get the filter off. You see, it's dented the thread so it can no longer turn. I've bought a few different things to try and remedy this. I've followed some instructions and all these kind of things, but so far nothing has kind of worked. I was just wondering, do any of you know what I should do? Do you have any tips? Have you come into this issue before? The thing that I was hoping to do was to get like some form of clamp round it and help me turn it, but because this filter is like so low profile, look, less than a finger, it just isn't going to work, you know. But yeah, this is great. And finally, I'd just like to thank Squarespace once again for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an amazing all-in-one platform for anything to do with websites. Whether you're just looking to pick up a new web domain, you want to start a blog, an online store, or a website for your business or maybe your photography portfolio, all of this and much, much more is made so simple with Squarespace. There's an incredible variety of different themes to get you started, and you definitely don't need any prior web building experience to build a really professional looking website. Everything is super customizable and you can get away with just dragging and dropping. You don't need to learn how to code or anything complicated like that. But if you do happen to come into any issues, there is amazing 24/7 customer support. Having a website in this day and age is pretty much essential. You need to have a place to call your own on the internet and display your work in the best way possible. And doing this on Squarespace is just so simple. It allows you to spend more time out there making the work and doing the things you love, and less time figuring out how to build a website or anything like that. It's really so simple, and something that I think is maybe undervalued in particularly photography websites is just keeping your site up to date, keeping your best work, your newest work, updated and uploaded on your site. And really the Squarespace is just so simple to quickly upload your new shoot. It's really not much of a hassle. So if you'd like to get yourself a lovely new website today, you can do so by following the link in the description. And if you use my code negative feedback, you'll get 10% off your order. So what's not to love? Go and get yourself a lovely new website today. And yeah, thanks for watching. Next week, we're going to go and take some photos with a smaller camera. So stay tuned.